Joining us today, and welcome to our webinar that'll help you cut through the hype of AI and provide actionable insights that you can apply within your organizations. Firstly, let me introduce myself. My name is Kishore Jairam, and I'm responsible for strategy and growth for NCS in Australia. I'm so pleased to have with us Ying Xiaowei, who is the Chief Scientist for NCS Group. Hey, Xiaowei, it's great to have you with us, and I'm sure we're going to have an amazing session today.
Hey, hi, Kish.
Let's start with some.
Good to see you again.
Hey, yeah, good to see you. Let's start with some context for why we are here and what we hope you get out of this session. NCS recently commissioned the market intelligence firm IDC to undertake a global survey of more than 700 organizations across 16 countries and 11 industries. The survey focused on AI adoption and digital resilience in a rapidly evolving AI landscape. The research found a strong positive correlation between AI and digital resilience, which we are calling DR in this presentation. It is not to be confused with disaster recovery. What you'll see in the study is that Australian organizations, on the average, have both low AI adoption and low digital resilience. We'll try and understand why that is, and Xiaowei will take us through these results and the findings shortly. We will also explore industries and use cases that are having the most impact in Australia and across the APAC region, and we'll then dive into how we are responding to this research. We've developed an AI+DR framework and maturity model that helps organizations baseline their maturity and take action to build resilience and harness the true potential of AI beyond the hype. I'd also like to take the opportunity to introduce NCS to those who are not familiar with us. NCS in Australia is reinventing technology services from the inside out. We provide advisory, design and build, implementation, and managed services to our clients. Our team of around 1,500 people in Australia have a wealth of experience in delivering large-scale, mission-critical, and multi-platform outcomes for governments and businesses across Australia. We do this by employing modern delivery practices through a range of engagement models. We are the Australian arm of the Pan-APAC Technology Services leader, NCS Group, who has more than 15,000 people across the region. Some brief housekeeping comments before I pass over to Xiaowei. Please ask your questions through the Q&A panel on the screen, and attendees of the session will receive the content via email afterwards. With that, now to Xiaowei.
Okay, thank you, Kish. It's a pleasure to be with all of you online. These days, it seems that no business gathering, both online and offline, will be complete without AI or machine learning making its way into the conversation. Recently, I was privileged to be at the Australian Governance Summit in Sydney, and it was well attended by over 1,000 board directors. Right, many of them sitting, on the boards of ASX 100 companies. AI and data took up more than a third of the agenda. As a practitioner involved in a number of AI initiatives and projects across APAC, I am very delighted, right, to be here to share with you some observations and learnings that myself and my colleagues have. Right, and it is my hope, right, that this would stimulate our discussions later. I also look forward to learning from all of you, but first, let me go through my presentation. There will be 3 parts to it, so let's dive right into it. The first part is about the recent global survey that we did with the IDC market, and this is what Kish referred to just now. It was conducted in the middle of and towards the end of last year. We are certainly now living in a period where AI is everywhere. As some of you would have noticed, right, tracking the development of AI, the last 2 decades especially have seen an explosion of technological and business innovations, which have fueled the sort of heady successes, financial successes of the tech industry. As you can see from the line graph down there, the market capitalization of the top 10 tech companies has increased more than 100 times during this period. Yet, with the exception of these handful of companies, we noted that the impact of AI was really highly uneven. From an earlier survey, we noted that the leaders in AI were able to extract 3 times more value from AI projects than the average Joe. In other words, for every dollar that a company now puts into an AI initiative, the estimated benefits in terms of revenue or cost savings were 3 times higher for the top 5% of organizations. Why is this so? This is a question which baffled us and motivated us to work with the IDC, which is the Global Market Research Company, to go and survey 750 companies globally so that we can understand better why some companies are just better at extracting value from AI investments. Among the many findings was the cornerstone insight, right, about the correlation that exists between companies that invested in their digital foundation to strengthen their resilience and their AI maturity. Companies that spend more effort in strengthening their digital foundations posted significantly greater return on investments on their AI projects. As you can see from this slide here, they had posted 1.3 times more revenue or 1.4 times more cost savings. While there could be other contributing factors that explain this AI phenomena, it could be hype, mismeasurements, implementation lags, etc. The survey that we conducted somewhat confirmed that most companies are not doing enough on making their digital foundation AI ready. In other words, they've underinvested in digital resilience. To make AI impact business positively and significantly, it is not just about innovation, but also the crucial aspect of digital resilience. Here are some other interesting findings from our IDC NCS survey. We mapped the organizations that we surveyed into a 2x2 grid, which we called the AI+DR impact metrics. And depending on their extent of AI adoption and the strength of their digital resilience, we locate their relative position on the 2x2 grid. As you can see from this chart here, the majority of companies that we surveyed are in what we call the AI dust quadrant of low AI adoption and low digital resilience. This reflects the observations that we have on the ground, that many organizations are now doing many experiments and POCs, but not many of these POCs are transitioning successfully into production and having enterprise-wide kind of impact. There are, however, some game changers, right? Organizations that are able to successfully harness the potential of AI. They are what we call organizations that are in the game changer quadrant. It'll be interesting to see what these companies do that make them more successful in exploiting AI. But first, more insights from our survey. We see distinctive AI+DR patterns by industries, as we would expect. The banking financial services industry is a clear leader with more percentage of game changers compared to the other industries. We see the retail and leisure sector somewhat the laggard with much headroom for improvement. Government organizations and those in more regulated sectors tend to score better on digital resilience, as you would also expect. Between geographies, North America has the most advanced penetration of game changers. In contrast, we at APAC has a lot more potential for improvement, as you can see from this slide here. I've also purposely pulled out Australia as a comparison to APAC and the US. Now, the earlier insights were perhaps not too surprising, right? What I thought was more enriching was to actually look at what the game changers do and see what we could learn from them, right? This is the second part of my presentation, which I would like to cover. For those who are interested, happy to sort of follow up with more details about the survey, but the survey did provide many indicators like these, right? Which showed why game changers were better compared to non-game changers on the multiple dimensions that we had surveyed. But I thought it would be more useful to take some real-world examples to show how these companies, what kind of game-changing moves they have. Right? Essentially, the game changers were good at achieving two balancing acts. At the business level, through internal innovation in governance councils and mechanisms, they were better able to pursue AI innovation while managing risk. At the technology level, on the right-hand side, they were also better able, right, to strike a balance in their investments in AI technology and technology that underpin or fostered digital resilience. And digital resilience goes beyond just cybersecurity. Whenever we think about digital resilience, we might only be associated digital resilience with cybersecurity. That's not to be the case. There are other aspects of digital resilience which are also crucial, right? And we highlight four of them, right? They are operational responsiveness, data governance, infrastructure scalability, and application robustness. Let me now add a bit more color with examples showing the balance and the interplay between AI innovation and digital resilience elements. First example here that I would like to give is a pan-APAC mining company which we have worked with. Right, the company is using AI-powered real-time video analytics to monitor plant operations with the purpose of enforcing workplace safety in a highly dynamic and changing workplace environment. It was able to achieve a very high success rate as measured by very low incident violations because it invested in machine learning ops with human-in-the-loop data annotation workflows that resulted in AI models being updated in hours or within a day versus weeks or months. This ensured that the video analytics models were able to continuously adapt to the ever-changing operational conditions of the mines. Right, so it's not just about deploying video analytics models that have high accuracies one-off, but putting in place the operational responsiveness to ensure that these VA models continue to be accurate in a dynamically changing working environment. Next is an example of how a government agency's call center leverages generative AI, right, to improve and modernize its call center operations. Essentially, it leveraged a generative AI in 3 different ways. Firstly, having a Gen AI training assistant to help onboard new human agents, right, in a shorter period of time through more realistic and simulation of actual call transactions. Second, Gen AI was used, or AI with Gen AI was used to provide accurate speech-to-text translation, ensuring that local vocabulary, local accents, local references to places were accurately transcribed, right, into the call logs. This allowed the human agent to very much focus on the call rather than taking notes. And thirdly, the AI was used to then summarize the call into the standard format required by the call center, drastically reducing the after-call work, as you can see, by 54%. What this means was that the human agents were now able to take 40 calls a day versus 32 calls. And this was not at the expense of customer satisfaction. In fact, the customer satisfaction levels increased. With the success of this modernization of the call center, we were able to deploy the same for multiple call centers thereafter. I would like to sort of point out that all this was possible due to the emphasis on ensuring, right, the call agent application was robust through well thought through human-computer interface designs, UI, UX, and also developing and deploying sufficient AI guardrails, ensuring system reliability and safety, right, in handling especially sensitive customer interactions. The third example that I would like to show here involves some video, right? And a transport agency, right, is using synthetic data generated by AI to create advanced simulations for optimizing traffic flows across the road network. The success of this initiative really relied on strong data ops capabilities, which ensured that there was continuously high quality data that is being cleaned, annotated, and then processed, right, so as to generate accurate insights. Here, basically, we are looking at the movement of vehicles, right, across the entire road network of Singapore. Each dot there representing a simulation of a vehicle across the time of the day, across all the major arterial roads of Singapore. The game-changing practice here is that it's really about better data governance, right? Ensuring that we're able to sort of classify sensitive information, right? And also documenting properly, right? And then using them properly, right? To create more synthetic data that can be used to then train models, run more accurate simulations. And some of the simulations are used to inform important policy decisions, right? In this slide here, we see the simulation of setting of how to the simulation of the impact of setting different prices on the toll gates along a major expressway. We're able to see that by raising price at one location, there could be knock-on effects on other parts of the network, as you can see from the different intensity of shadings of red on the screen here. Let me now move to the sort of third part of my presentation, which is how to get to become a game changer. It's important to note that harnessing the full potential of AI is not just about adopting the most advanced technologies, but also addressing people and processes as well. So here at NCS, we regularly review our own AI+DR status, tracking how our innovation and resilience as we apply various thematic interventions on technology, people, and processes. Let me give you a glimpse of what we have been also doing over the past 18 months in our own transformation program to move ourselves right into the game changer quadrant. As a software development house for many of our business clients, we have been busy retooling our business analysts, developers, UI UX designers, testers, and all other important actors and roles across the software delivery lifecycle. We've been arming them with AI assistants that are trained with our NCS coding standards, as well as our various integrated development methodologies. As we inject AI into the way we deliver software solutions to our clients, we are definitely witnessing a change in our software delivery processes. It is becoming faster, better, and also greener. So what used to take months and weeks now could only take days and hours to complete. It is not just about time saving, right? The code is also of higher quality as our people are freed up to focus on really understanding the needs of our clients and collaborating with them to come up with better solution designs. We have also invested in training our people, upskilling them and modernizing their roles to make them more AI ready. We are working with our ecosystem of partners to provide the relevant practical training they need to succeed in the age of intelligence. As the saying goes, it is not that AI will replace humans, but humans with AI skills who will replace those who do not have such skills. So this slide here shows the different types of IT roles that we are currently repurposing into more AI-focused roles and how we are working with our partners to provide them with the necessary certifications. So every technological revolution, from electricity to the mobile internet, has relied not only on innovation, but the resilience of the supporting underlying infrastructure. I have to say it is no different for AI. In fact, the demands that AI places on infrastructure are far greater. And unlike electricity and the internet, where resilience was largely an external challenge, AI actually shifts the responsibility inwards. So it was true then, and it is even more true now, right? That digital resilience is critical, right, for the innovations we want to harness in the age of intelligence. With that, I'm happy to sort of take any questions you might have regarding the work we do, the survey we have done. Thank you.
Thank you, Xiaowei, for sharing those valuable insights. As I touched upon previously, all the attendees for the session will receive an email with the content. You will also get access to our self-assessment tool so that you can take action as soon as you leave the session. I had a couple of key takeaways for me, personally. I think the first one was seeing that only 1.3% of Australian organizations surveyed are in the game changer quadrant was confronting, but it's also the opportunity for us to really get there as leaders within Australia. And I think thank you for also sharing some of those practical insights around what we are doing as an organization, because this is a fast evolving space. And as we learn, we'll be sharing these learnings with our clients and the broader market constantly. With that, now I will move on to the Q&A part of the session.
All right, the questions are starting to come in. Maybe I'll get started, Xiaowei, if I can, at a very high level.
Yep.
Based on the survey, what differences are you seeing across sectors in Australia, both in terms of AI and digital resilience?
In my presentation previously, I think it was in the first part of presentation, slide 9, I had shown what it was like globally, right, across all markets, the differences in adoption of AI and DR by sectors. It's essentially the same picture we are seeing for the Australian market, where the financial sector is leading in AI adoption, and that's because of the many years they have been investing so far to sort of collect different kinds of transaction data and applying machine learning to such use cases like anti-money laundering. Public sector is strong in digital resilience, right? The same in Australia, but perhaps it could be the sector could be faster in terms of AI innovation. We also see that the transport and healthcare sector are catching up, right, due to event pressures and also public expectations.
No, that's great. Maybe let's stay on the topic. There is a question around, there is a huge variability within how financial institutions are adopting AI. Some are ready, some are not. What are high-performing banks that you've seen doing differently to reduce, let's say, the time to S in customer onboarding and loan approvals?
I would say it's true, right? I know that it's not just only in the banking sector that we do see a distribution of companies who are moving faster with AI, and while others are adopting a more wait-and-see approach. But I think we need to remind ourselves it's not just about technology. It's about connected data. It's about omni-channel design, and also it's about automated compliance working together, right? To try and create a more responsive and customer-centric system that goes to pleasing, delighting customers faster without sort of sacrificing trust or rigor, right? So what do high-performing banks do better, right? Some use the real-time integrated data platforms and sort of AI-powered models to better access creditworthiness instantly, and then to offer sort of hyper-personalized services and products. We also see more sort of seamless omni-channel experiences offered by the more forward-looking sort of banks, right? So that customers can start, pause, and complete their applications for, let's say, credit cards or mortgage loans across different channels, right? And they're well supported, I guess, by chatbots and other sort of automated document processing, right, to help speed up their onboarding. We also see that increasingly banks are using AI to do regulatory checks, not just on a sample of transactions, but across all transactions, right? As risk controls are becoming more automated, right? And continuous analytics help to fine-tune decision funnels, right? And minimize delays.
Thank you for sharing that. While we stay on the topic, there was another industry that you mentioned, which is transport, particularly public transport. I usually am based in Melbourne, and in Melbourne, we are a city of events. There is a sporting event or some sort of a concert that is happening every weekend. And we as a nation are also preparing for a big event in a few years' time, which is Olympics in Brisbane 2032. And there is, I guess, a huge pressure on public transport systems with these events. Are you seeing practical applications of AI in this space?
Oh, for sure. Yes, and I just came back from Brisbane, I was also have the privilege of being involved somewhat in the I think the last Commonwealth Games that was held in Australia, which was also in Queensland, right? And had the oversaw the sort of the application of AI, right, to help understand crowd movement and mobility patterns. So yes, technology does play a very pivotal role, right, in ensuring sort of world-class commuter experience, right, public safety, as well as operational readiness at these kind of major international events, right? Seamless visitor experience, right, can be provided for, right, by deploying things like multilingual digital assistants, right, given that these events can attract participants from all around the world or from different cultures. Mobile wayfinding apps, personalization tools can help these people on the ground, right, to enhance their engagement, accessibility, right, to different venue locations. I think for the people that is organizing the event, AI is a very important tool for the preparation, right? It allows for transport simulations of of crowd flow, right? To sort of inform where to put up, I guess, more sort of traffic management facilities, video analytics to sort of ensure the smooth and safe movement of people across venues and cities. And last but not least, right, AI is, when it comes to these kind of events, right, it is critical, right, to harden and protect your infrastructure, right, from cyber attacks, right? And I remember, the number of cyber attacks on both the Tokyo Olympic Games and Paris Olympic Games have been quite overwhelming, right? And it is important to have a sort of integrated command and resilience sort of a facility, right, to establish cross-agency sort of digital command centers to prevent these kind of online attacks.
Absolutely, that's such a critical thing. And now I think every organization has something happening around AI, and the boards are asking their executives what's their AI strategy. And it kind of feels to me when I look at some of the organizations, they seem to be jumping into pulling together a strategy immediately without asking some high-level discovery questions, if you will. In your view, Xiaowei, what are some mistakes organizations are making as they are approaching their AI strategy as well as developing their strategy around AI?
Yeah, I mean, I guess goes to the central theme of our presentation just now, right? That your AI only runs as fast as your digital resilience, right? AI success is really rarely blocked by algorithms, right? It's really not blocked by weak foundations, misalignment, and perhaps a lack of organizational follow-through, right? We see in a number of client engagements, actually quite often, right, misaligned priorities, right? That different business units are implementing AI without, a clear enough or meaningful enough business problem or pathway to scale. We also see a lot of problems around data quality, right? Which is key characteristics of a weak foundation, right? Other problems include infrastructure readiness, as well as a lack of governance, right, for sustaining all these AI innovations. And then I always remember what an expert told me before, right? That to implement new technology, be it AI or other technologies, remember that only 30% of the effort should be around the technology. 70% is about people and processes. So a lack of change management has always been plaguing a lot of the AI initiatives we see. And that needs to be addressed.
Absolutely. And I think the other factor that's also happening within the organizations is a slew of AI pilots, if you will, pilots, proofs of concept, trials, you name it, those things are happening within the organization. Oftentimes they are happening within the right guardrails. But sometimes what you need to look for is what are some positive signs so that it can graduate into a scalable product, but also taking into account the resilience, right? So how do you get that balance right? And what do you look for in terms of resilience gates, if you will?
Yeah, so I think, a pilot graduates to production, not because it is smart, right? But because it is, safe, stable, and reliable or sustainable, right, in the real world, right? We all know what it is like to do an experiment in the laboratory, right? But when it goes out to the real world, it will behave very differently, right? The pilot solves, it's important to ensure that the pilot solves a meaningful problem, right? But it's even more important to show that the pilot is able to consistently perform, right? And demonstrate measurable value, all right, in the real world, right? In order to do that, there must be a certain level of operational readiness, right? The AI model must integrate smoothly, right, into the existing workflows, and with a sort of clear user roles, right? Clear escalation paths, and and various human-in-the-loop mechanisms where it's kind of needed, right? We talked about the 5 elements of digital resilience. That's a useful sort of framework, right, to think about, right? For example, on data governance, right? Is the input-output data trusted, well-managed, and compliant, right? Cybersecurity, endpoints secure, and are they, do you do any red teaming to ensure that the model interactions are protected from misuse? When it comes to application robustness, right? Does the system handle properly edge cases, right? And if so, do they fail gracefully, right? Monitoring is also a key part, right, of this, right? There are mechanisms to sort of track the degradation of the AI models over time, right? Are there service anomalies, right? And are there operational processes in place to continuously improve the model, right? To ML ops, etc. Right? So there are a number of resilience, what I call DR, digital resilience gates, right? That should be clear. It's like a checklist.
Yeah, and I would encourage everyone to not just think of them as static gates, but if you're thinking about this as an ongoing product, you need to kind of revisit those gates on an ongoing basis, right? So to make sure that, because the dynamics are shifting, the customer experience may vary, you need to kind of keep a track of all of that. So that's a great point. There's another question here, Xiaowei, around trust factor around adoption of AI and Gen AI solutions. The question is around, do you see the trust factor improving, or do you still see skepticism in the organizations that you work with? And maybe does it depend on the part of the business as well? Is there a greater acceptance in one part of the business versus skepticism in another part of the business?
Yes, actually, interestingly, now we see a great unevenness, right? Now across the different countries that we are operating in, right? In Southeast Asia, right? I think the acceptance of AI, right? The trust factor seems to be higher, right? And people are more willing to sort of, consumers here are more willing to use it, and the enterprises are more willing to sort of push it out to them, right? In other places, right, including Australia, right, the concerns about data privacy, right, is actually more of a concern, right? And hence, I think the the enterprises are also more paying a lot more attention and more careful, right, in pushing out some of these things, these AI innovations, right, to end users into their business operations. I would say that given the accelerating pace of technological advancements, right? 2 years ago we are all inundated with Gen AI. Today, it's all about agentic AI systems. Who knows what will happen in 2 years' time, etc. But what was clearly happening is this trend of accelerating technological advancements, and the gap between that and progress made on AI governance is actually worryingly widening. Right? Recently, I had been part of this major conference of AI where we brought together global AI safety institutes right across the world, and there was general recognition, even among some of the so-called grandfathers of AI, that not enough investments have been made, right? Particularly by the big tech companies, right, investing in AI safety to therefore enhance the trustworthiness of these AI systems. And that's why in NCS, we put a lot of emphasis, right, in not just making sure we deliver AI models to the specs required by our clients. We are spending enormous amount of time, right, to actually test the safety and the reliability and the security of these AI systems. In fact, just last week, we announced our various partnerships with global AI assurance companies, and also our own, and also with the AI Verify Foundation, right, which is our government-sponsored nonprofit organization promoting the use of AI tools and methodologies, right, to ensure the safety of AI systems.
No, that's great. Thanks for sharing that, Xiaowei. When we spoke about this, when you presented, you spoke about an average ROI of 3.7x. I think there is also the factor that you need to measure the return on AI investment beyond cost savings, right? So can you expand a little bit about that? Like, how do you really start looking at investment into AI and returns coming from AI beyond cost savings?
Yeah, it's obviously important, right, to measure the financial impact, right, and of AI, right, and the fixation with cost savings is not always healthy, right, because AI is not just about automating things that humans do and increasing productivity. It's also about building new capabilities, doing things that you could not do it before, right? So AI ROI should not just be only about the bottom line, right? It has impact on both what I call capacity as well as capability, allowing organizations to do things that they could not have done before, right? So the type of metrics tactically that one will use, right, would actually depend very much on the type of use cases we're talking about here, right? Now, if you're talking about modernizing a call center, right, using AI, then certainly measuring things like how AI impacts agent handling time, how many additional agent calls can be achieved, right, with the same amount of workforce, as well as the customer experience, the quality of the customer experience as well, right? And we will talk about using AI in software delivery lifecycle, then it's really the right metrics will be talking about faster development cycles, right? Measurements about better, more reliable code quality.
Absolutely, and above all, I think we need to think about, customer and employee experience, right? What is the experience of both the customers and employees as we start deploying these solutions at scale? We are towards the end of the session. From a Q&A perspective, there are still a few more questions, but I'll try and kind of synthesize that and ask you one last question, Xiaowei. What is one action that the participants in this webinar can take this week to start maturing their AI resilience posture?
Well, consistent with the central message that I was trying to deliver in my presentation, right? About digital resilience. I think regardless of where you are in your AI journey, it's always useful to reflect, run an AI resilience health check, see where you are on your on your AI journey. And while NCS is not the only sort of tech services and consultancy services that can provide such diagnostics, but do have a go and try our free AI+DR impact metrics survey.
No, that's a great call out, and yeah, I would urge everyone who attended today to check that out and apply that survey for yourself and see where you stand. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules in the middle of the day and attending this session. Hopefully, I mean, I took a lot from this session, Xiaowei, so thank you for providing your insights, and I hope the rest of the attendees also have the same experience. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.